Ohio State, Penn State. Sleeping in Casper. Every other mattress I've had, I prefer it. 100 nights. Ship it for free. Don't like it, take it out for free. Won't matter. Terms and conditions apply. Casper.com, code HERD, H-E-R-D. Over a 4-year span, only Brandon Marshall and Dez Bryant had more touchdowns at wide receiver than my next guest. 8 NFL seasons, played with Peyton Manning, briefly practiced with Tom Brady, but I got to bring him on. Eric Decker joining us on the show now, and we need clarity because your wife is a country music singer and an actress, right?
She is a TV personality.
A TV personality. Yeah. Are you guys going to put lights on Eric here? Can you? We have lights. There we go. That's nice. Let's talk about this. So you played with Peyton, and in those 4 years, you raked it. I mean, you raked it with Peyton, and then you had some brief time with Tom Brady. Were there similarities personality-wise that you noticed?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of our era, and ultimately, what it comes down to is they're detail-oriented guys. I mean, both competitors, both great leaders, but the way they prepare, the way they practice, I mean, there's no one like it, and that's what separated them and why I think they're so great.
What was Peyton? I heard Peyton can be difficult, demanding. Did he bark at you occasionally?
Oh, they both did. Once you step on the field, I mean, Peyton always said we laughed about it, the walkthrough before the walkthrough. So, there was always the blitz adjustments. There was hot routes you had to know. You always had to let him know when you thought someone was coming. And so he would test every guy. You'd be out there, and it's a walkthrough before the walkthrough, so you're just like kind of going through the motions, and you miss something, and he lets you know that you missed it, and you better stay focused. So that kept us, I think, again, just great. When we got into games, we were mowing people down.
You were humming. And were you part of the Tebow mania for a while?
I sure was.
That was, in my lifetime covering the NFL, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So just some backstory. I had a good source within the locker room, and they told me, they're like, listen, Tebow's not good at practice. He's like 4th. And they're like, we're all here and we're watching it. We're like, okay. And then you went into the games, and it was like divine intervention. You guys, Matt Prater's leg,
yes.
It would be 10-9, and all of a sudden. So when you were in that locker room, listen, you got eyes, Eric. He's not Big Ben. He's not Breeze. But you were winning games.
Yes.
What was it like to be in that locker room?
I mean, we would look at each other after the game and be like, how did we win that? Because we would spar through the first 3 quarters.
Oh, you'd be ugly.
Yeah. And then 4th quarter, like you said, we get in position. Somehow T would make a fantastic play. Prater would kick 2 70-yarders. We go into overtime, and we end up winning. But like one game, I remember in Kansas City, we ran the ball 60-plus times, maybe. We threw the ball 8 times.
8 times?
Completed 3 passes, and we won that game. Every time the coach come back to the sidelines, me and Demaryius Thomas say, hey, stay in it. You're going to get one next series. You're going to get one. We just got done crack blocking, 3 times in a row. So.
It was the craziest thing. And then he won the Steeler. That was
a playoff game. Yeah.
Oh, it was and that was a great throw. Who called that? Was that Demaryius?
It was Demaryius.
Yeah,
he took a 75.
And then I always felt that John Elway's a smart dude. That John knew, because there was a huge Christian following for Tebow. It wasn't just football.
Yeah.
It was aspirational. It was his following. That you had to bring in somebody that immediately the Tebow fandom would stop. And Peyton was the only guy you could do it with.
Yeah.
That once Peyton Manning comes in, it's like, okay, we love Tebow, but we have the man. And immediately everybody just became a Peyton Manning fan.
Oh, well, granted, he had how many great years in Indianapolis, and the timeline of it, like you said, him getting released, us going to the playoffs, and Tebow kind of having that great run, but the transition Elway made. I will say there was games in playoffs and end of the season that there was churches coming and kind of lining up around the tunnel where we walked through and kind of singing homilies and stuff as we walked through. It was. I'm telling you, there's some things I've never seen in my life that year, and I could write a book on it. But Tim's a great guy, and I love that we had success that year. But obviously, when Peyton came in, it changed the culture of that organization.
When you play all these years in the league, and then at some point you're like, you've made a stack of money, and you want to have a great life with your kids and your wife. What was the drive home, the moment, the epiphany that you said, I'm going to quit?
Yeah. That's a great question. I actually started to feel it after I left or was done in Tennessee around that March, April time, I was just like, I've played a lot of good years. I've had a lot of fun. The injuries have kind of caught up to me at that point. I've had 4 pretty major surgeries at that point. And my wife's like, no, just one more year. You don't want the what if, where you're regretting your decision. So I decided to visit a few teams, talk to a few teams, very selective. New England called. That was the place I wanted to go to. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Super Bowl contending team. Got up there. I didn't go through the motions. I was competing, but like mentally and emotionally, I just wasn't all in. I kind of lost a little bit of it, and it just didn't feel right. So, granted, my performance wasn't that great during training camp, but at that moment, I was just like, I've done enough. I'm ready to go home, and I'm ready to kind of graduate from football and move on to the next thing.
What was the call to your wife like? Your dad, your wife, your mom, your family?
Yeah, well, I called my wife. I just told her, like, I'm missing that thing inside that you have. It just clicks. I called my agent, and I just kind of called Brandon Stokely, who was in a similar situation where I went from New York, got cut late, went to Tennessee, so it was the 3rd team in 3 years, and it's hard when you got young kids and you're moving around from team to team, and my family was staying in Nashville, and I asked Brandon, I'm like, how'd you feel? And he kind of had the same situation where he's bouncing around, but he loved the game, and he fought it out. He got to a point where he's like, it's over. And that's kind of where I was at. It was over for me.
Josh Gordon got picked up by the Patriots. They're kind of scrapping right now, trying to kind of figure out until Julian Edelman gets back. Is their system more complicated? When you look at their book, and you look at the Titans book, and you look at the Jets book, and you look at the Peyton Manning book, did you feel like it would be hard? Like Ocho went there with Tom, it didn't work.
Yep.
Randy Moss did, and it did immediately. Is it a harder playbook to learn?
Yes. Indeed. Granted, a veteran guy who, for me, I've been through 8, maybe 9 systems in my career. That's not the hard part for me, picking up a playbook, understanding it. I mean, a lot of stuff they condense to try to make it easier on the quarterback and just in the huddle, making a shorter play call. But they play fast, and, there's a certain system about it. And, when guys get there, if you're not used to playing fast and hearing the call and knowing where to line up, because the formations are different, the concepts are different. You got to kind of, put your time in studying. It can be difficult, no question. That period of transition can be very difficult. So I can see why some guys struggle.
Yeah. Eric Decker, 8 NFL seasons. There was a 4-year period when only Des Bryant and Brandon Marshall had more touchdowns. You had a 4-year period with 41. You finished with 53 and almost 6,000 yards. We've got some different rules. The catch rule now has been tweaked. It is a catch. There's the helmet rule. There's also the quarterback getting hit rule. The business part of me understands what the NFL is doing.
Yep.
But there is sort of Trent Dilfer was on the other day, and he made an interesting point. He said, when you're a quarterback, one of the ways that you can earn respect in a locker room is being a tough guy.
Yep.
And getting the you-know-what kicked out of you and getting up and be like, I'm going to play with hurt ribs. He goes, because you're not tackling guys. You're not benching 500. He goes, as a quarterback, I kind of like getting getting whacked a couple times. And I could prove to my teammates, hey, I'm spilled all over the field. I'm going to get up and finish a game. And that, instead of Trent's like, show me the data that proves we're protecting these quarterbacks. I like to get hit. And I think now, Andrew Luck got hit too much over a few years. Right. What do you make of the Clay Matthews? Where do you fall? Do you get the business? Do you want to be protected? I mean, by the way, now, you can't hit wide receivers over the middle, which helps a guy like Eric Decker. Yeah. Where do you fall on that?
I mean, I'm with you. I understand the business side of it. Your quarterback is your franchise guy. That's what the entertainment, is. He's going to get the ball out. Aaron Rodgers slinging it around. Like, that's what makes the games enjoyable. But the same fact, like, you're teaching these defenders how to properly tackle in practice. So he's got to hit a wide receiver or running back different than he hits a quarterback. I mean, that was a perfect wrap tackle. And to say, all right, then you got to last second, move your weight to the side or not fall on him. I don't agree with it. I mean, that's what football is. It's a physical game. You got Tom Brady and Peyton Manning who will get the ball out and get down if they don't want to get hit. They have that option. So I really think that, the physicality of the game is what makes football so great. And you need to adjust some of these rules. And I get diving at knees, taking out limbs, because that is our investment. When you got an ACL injury, you can't play the game, or you got a foot injury, you can't play the game. But, to get hit hard in the ribs, that's the game. That's the game of football.
do you miss it?
You know, I love watching it, but I don't miss waking up completely, utterly sore the next day. I don't. You know, I really enjoyed my time. I had a great college career, had a great NFL career. Like I said, I had so many memories, but I was at a point where I was ready. I was comfortable to be done. But I still love talking the game. I still love watching the game. I bought NFL ticket because I want the red zone so I could see every game.
You watch the red zone too?
I do.
I love it.
Yeah.
I sit there with a notepad every Sunday.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like it. By the way, Marcus Mariota. I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable spot, but I interviewed him years ago.
Yep.
And I said this on the air, so I'll say it to you, is that he's almost non-verbal, and it's a very verbal position. The one thing, the Breeze, Rodgers, Favre, Brady, Peyton, Russell Wilson, they'll talk.
Yep.
They're talkers.
Yep.
And a lot of times they're confrontational. Is Marcus Mariota too soft-spoken for the position?
You know, tremendous athlete, tremendous guy. I loved being his teammate. He is passive, though. I mean, ultimately, like you said, it's a position where you got to be verbal. You got to be a leader. Yeah, I mean, you got to demand things because when things get tough, who do you look to? You look to your quarterback. And if he's giving confidence and kind of making expectations what they should be, everyone's going to follow suit. And, unfortunately, it could be just a personality trait where some guys may have it, may not. But, I mean, that's a position where you cannot be passive, and he is a little bit.
He is. And by the way, when you look at quarterbacks in the NFL, we've had big ones. We've had guys that run. We've had Eli Manning doesn't run, can't move. Shape, sizes, a lot of varieties, almost all of them. It's rare that you see a successful quarterback who is quiet, nonverbal, kind of passive, laid back. Sometimes you got to kick some ass. I mean, Peyton Manning is rough. Troy Aikman, have you ever watched those NFL films? Troy Aikman's rough on his teammates.
Yeah, no question. I will say, though, flashback in memory, when we were playing Jacksonville and Marcus made a run and he got up and kind of flexed, and everyone's like, whoa. I mean, that was a moment where it's like, it's there somewhere. Got to dig it up.
Got to find it. Eric, good meeting you and good seeing you.
Thanks, Colin.
All right, Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Heard on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, it's time now for a fantasy headline presented by Draft.